fault line in Los Angeles looked dormant, but it caused a 4.6 magnitude earthquake. This by Kyle Epstein, originally on the Washington Post, and it's on Science Alert. It's a new fault just recently again found, the Wilmington blind thrust fault. This is an image by Franklin Wolfe, Harvard University. Scientists thought that the Wilmington blind thrust fault that runs deep under Los Angeles had been dormant since the late Pliocene era, which was millions of years ago. But a new study reveals it is very much alive and is capable of generating a kind of 6.4 magnitude earthquake that could cause serious damage in a populated city such as Los Angeles. The devastating 1994 Northridge earthquake was also caused by a blind thrust fault, which are not visible from the surface. That registered a 6.7 in a range of what researchers estimate the Wilmington blind thrust fault could generate on its own. And as you can understand, that could be devastating for the structures in the city. The fault is about 12 miles or 19 kilometers in length. It runs diagonally northwest-southeast across southwestern Los Angeles basin, just like the San Andreas, in other words, and the Walker Lane fault system. Though related segments to the north and south length, the span of it are about 34 miles. It runs beneath the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles, both of which are vital shipping centers for the state and also for the country. But the authors of the study that was published last month at Bulletin of Seismological Society of America say that the fact that its activity was not discovered sooner is really nobody's fault. The Wilmington fault is moving more slowly than others in the area, and it made it harder to detect the movements. This is what Franklin Wolfe, doctoral fellow, Harvard University, who led the study, explains. The formation's existence was known since the 1930s, thanks to its presence near Southern California's immense Wilmington oil field. The oil industry had extensively studied the deepest and most ancient layers of rock, which showed folding indicative of a dormant fault, as he explained, but that he had not looked at the younger uppermost layers, which did not contain precious oil, but turned out to be subtle signs of seismic activity. The first hints that something might be going on began almost 20 years ago when another one of the study's authors, Daniel Ponte of the U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, began researching those layers as part of a water study in the area. Ponte and his team noticed that the upper layers of the rock bore the same telltale folds as the deeper ones below, which had been molded by earthquakes on the Wilmington blind thrust fault millions of years ago, indicating that the fault had been active far more recently than they thought. This was first published, their findings were published in 2007, but they needed more research to know what the folds meant. And for the new study, the researchers at Harvard University and USGS combined their data compiled by the oil industry of the deepest, oldest layers of rock in that area with new research from USGS to create a comprehensive picture of the geology around this fault. And after using 2D and 3D modeling technology, they were able to create a comprehensive picture of the fault and estimate its potential strength. The researchers say that the good news was that this discovery of the Wilmington fault activity does not necessarily increase the earthquake's hazard level in the Los Angeles basin. The bad news is that's because there are already so many known active faults in Southern California and the whole state, and several of them are capable of producing damaging earthquakes. Ponte and Wolfe say further study of the fault is needed to ascertain whether it's connected to others in the region, as earthquakes on one fault can sometimes influence activity on another fault. But in the meantime, they say that the discovery should not worry Los Angeles residents about earthquakes more than usual. They said if you live pretty much anywhere in California or you're at earthquake risk, Ponte said, we can refine that estimate a little bit better, but it doesn't change the fact that you need to be prepared for a major earthquake in your area. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.